taking political sides out of it, most of the people that you hate or you self-proclaim as hating, you don't know anything about them. You just hate them because the people next to you are hating them and you want to fit in.
I was at work when I first found out. A fellow employee had wandered up to me, cell phone in hand, and asked, "Did you hear that Charlie Kirk just got assassinated?" And I, without even a moment's hesitation, responded, "Good! Fuck that Nazi white supremacist piece of shit!" I had never before witnessed such a perfectly blended expression of disgust, disappointment, sadness, and surprise, all through the window of another man's eyes, or experienced a silence so uncomfortable as the one that followed. And although that look on his face now haunts me more and more with each passing day, at the time, it only made me distrustful and upset. But little did I know that the sentence which followed would end up becoming the most profoundly psychologically impactful question that I've ever been confronted with. Have you ever actually watched any of his debates? I decided to end the conversation immediately. This man was clearly a lost cause, one of those intellectually dishonest Kool-Aid drinking types who refuses to engage in good faith with any perspective which contradicts their outstandingly narrow and propagandized worldview. And by this man, I mean me, because I hadn't actually watched any of his debates. I was basing literally every single thing I believe about a human being, with thousands of hours worth of publicly available recordings of himself openly expressing his opinions, on a small handful of out-of-context clips that had been curated for me by algorithms and media organizations being funded by the political opposition. I foamed at the mouth, right along with the rest of those rabid and bloodthirsty dogs, gleefully mocking those who had been saddened by his death and downplaying the atrocity of it all by suggesting that political violence is just an unfortunate yet necessary step toward our coveted socialist revolution. That is,
rules for them, but
until
not
I began
for
to notice
us.
a common thread. The exact same comment being repeated ad nauseum in nearly every single online space. Have you ever actually watched any of his debates? I didn't think much of it at first. Of course right-wingers are all regurgitating the exact same talking point. They're in a cult. They're brainwashed. It was an ordinary and boring morning on the day I found out that I am a monster. In that moment where my curiosity got the best of me and I decided to click on some random YouTube thumbnail of Charlie Kirk with his goofy and gummy smile in an attempt to reaffirm my preconceived biases. And it was an unusually stressful afternoon on that very same day when I spoke to my father for the first time in years, despite the fact that he had always loved and supported me unconditionally. And it was a never-ending sleepless night coming to terms with the fact that literally every single thing I thought I hated about the right, the bigotry, stupidity, violence, vitriol, and narrow-mindedness, was actually just an outward projection of hatred toward my own self. Charlie Kirk is my hero. He opened my eyes to the cruel and manipulative nature of our political media, brought my family back together, and taught me how to love again.
Wow.
And to anyone who takes issue or offense with that, I'm going to do exactly what he would have done, and challenge you to answer a simple, honest, and straightforward question. Have you ever actually watched any of his debates?
That's crazy, dude. At first, I thought it was just kind of like some kind of thing that he wrote, but he was like actually crying about it. The reality is, most of the people that, like, even taking political sides out of it, most of the people that you hate or you self-proclaim as hating, you don't know anything about them. You just hate them because the people next to you are hating them and you want to fit in. And I realized that a lot. Like, there are people who I thought I had beef with. And then when I actually like sat down and talked with them, I realized what was the point of all that, dude? Like, we actually have something in common. In fact, you hear this trope all the time about people who started off as enemies ended up becoming best friends. And I think it's because you see something in yourself in that person, but their outwards facing side is not what you like. And because the reality is that most of the time we hate the way that we see each other. We hate the way that we see ourselves, right? It's kind of like that the idea that when you see yourself in the mirror or you see yourself like flipped, or you listen to yourself sing, you're like, that's not me. What are you talking about? And it's because you have this idea of who you are in your head, and it's nowhere near what's actually true. And it's important for us to get out of ourselves and our ego. I think all of that, I think that's all really important because it's going to help you persevere. All right, and realize that you are not just a side, you are not just a box that you put yourself in. Yeah, sure, it might feel comfortable while you're in that box, but that is not who you are. You are an adaptive human. Like, how much you're going to change over your entire life is insane. Yeah, hating takes way too much energy. Even people who will like be in my DMs and talk about how much they hate me, like I don't have the energy to afford to hate them back, you know? I might toy with them a little bit just for fun, but just to show them that it doesn't mean anything. Like, if they'll sit in there, they'll have actual hatred for me because they see one video of me and they don't like the way that I say retard, or they don't like that I say bitch or whatever. you know. But if they actually watch my content, they realize that it's just so tongue-in-cheek. It doesn't mean anything. It's just fun. It's just hee-hees and ha-has. That's like the best way that I can describe it. And it's sad, dude. It's sad that we can't come together and realize that. I feel like before, people were able to be like, oh, you're this, you're that. Okay, whatever. We move on. Let's hang out, you know. Let's have a beer. That's what we need to do. We need to have a collective beer with everybody. As much as I make fun of people, like if I make fun of people, you should make fun of me too. Fuck it. Who the hell are we to say that we can't make fun of each other? That's stupid.